Welcome to today's tutorial. So in this tutorial we are going to discuss the dot product. So what does it mean if we talk about the dot product, or what is the dot product of two vectors? So a vector in general, it's given as, let me just change the color of the marker. Okay, so if you have two vectors where we have a1, a2 and a3, so this is just another form of representing vectors. You have another vector b where you have b1, b2 and b3, meaning these are in 3 dimensions, they are in 3D. Then the dot product of these two vectors is simply just a dot b, which is just found by multiplying this first a and the first b there, second a, second b, third a and third b, and in between there you have to be adding. Alright, so the dot product of these two vectors is given by this, and this is found by considering the rules of vectors, where you say I dot I is equal to 1 and I dot j is equal to 0, and I dot k is also equal to 0, j dot k is equal to 0, j dot I is equal to 0, k dot j is equal to 0, k dot k is equal to 1, and yeah, I think these, I don't know if I've forgotten another, but most of them are zeros except for I dot I, j dot j is equal to 1, and k dot k is equal to 1. The rest are zeros when you're talking about the dot product. Yeah, so when you talk about the cross product, it's another thing. So for the dot product, you have to know that j dot j is equal to 1, I dot I is equal to 1, and k dot k is equal to 1. The rest are zeros. Yeah, so any cross multiplication of these, of different unit vectors gives you what? Zeros. Yeah, so I hope you understand when I explain it in that way. Alright, so this is where this comes from, because you know that when you multiply ai and bi, you have abi. So in other words, we're just trying to multiply. We have ai plus, we have a1i, a1j plus a1k. We're multiplying this we're multiplying this first part to this part, which is b1i. We have b1i plus b2j plus b3k. So when you're multiplying, you multiply this and this, you get this part. When you multiply this and that, you get a 0. This and that, you get a 0. This and that, you get a 0. This and that, you get this part. And this times that, a 0. This times that, you get a 0. This times that, you get a 0. This times that, you get, supposed to be 3 there and 2 there. b1, b2, b3, yeah. So this times that, you get that. Alright, so this is how they came up with this equation. So a dot b is just given by that. So for instance, if you've been given two vectors, let me just give you an example of what I'm talking about. So if you have, let's say you have vector a as 2i plus 3j, and you have vector b as 5i minus 2j. So when you have been told to find a dot b, So A dot B is simply just equal to, you multiply the corresponding components. You have 2 times 5, you get 10. So 2 times 5, you get 10. Then you say plus 3 times negative 2, you get negative 6. So A dot B is simply just 10 minus 6, and this gives you 4. So our A dot B is just equal to 4. Okay, so after finding this, having known where this came from, let us now look at this in terms of the trigonometric ratio cos theta. So if theta is the angle between the two vectors, the dot product of two vectors is given by this formula. So if theta is the angle between vector A and vector B, the dot product of the two vectors A dot B is given by the magnitude of A times the magnitude of B and cos theta. This is how you find the dot product in terms of cos, or if you are talking about it in terms of the angle in between. This is the reason why the dot product of two vectors which are perpendicular to each other is equal to 0, because we know that cos 90 gives us what? 0. So now, since cos 90 gives us 0, this tells us that the dot product of two vectors A and B which are at 90 degrees is simply just equal to 0. So in a question, if they say the two vectors are perpendicular to each other, that should tell you to say their dot product is equal to 0. Let's look at some examples. So we have this question here which is asking us to find the dot product of U and V, the dot product of U and U, and the magnitude of U squared, and the dot product of U, and after finding the dot product of U and V, you multiply it with V. Let's quickly do these questions. So I'm not going to do all the questions. I'll just pick random questions. So I'll start with the first one there. So we have U, which has been given as 3, 4. And we also have V, which has been given as negative 1, 5. So the dot product of U and V will simply just be equal to, we are multiplying this and that. So 3 times negative 1, we're getting negative 3. Then we say plus 4 times 5, this is going to give us what? 20. So U dot V is equal to, when you add this and that, you're getting 17. So that is the dot product. And then apart from that, we have also been asked to find U dot U. So U dot U is simply just equal to, we're just dotting this U to itself. So we have U dot U. So this will be 3, 4 rather, 3, 4 dot 3, 4. So 3 times 3, we have 9, plus 4 times 4, that is 12. So when you add the 2, you are getting what? 21. So 21 is the dot product of U and U. So let's quickly move on to the third part, part C. So part C says we find the magnitude of U and then we square it. So the magnitude of U squared is simply just going to be the square root of U is 3, 4. So we have 3 squared plus 4 squared. And this has been squared, so we square it. So we have this square and that, this squared and that square. This square root and that square will cancel. So meaning we just remain with 3 squared, which is 9, plus 4 squared, which is 16. So when you add 16 and 9, that will give us 25. So that is the magnitude of U squared. We move on to part D. Part D says we first find the dot product of U and V. Then after doing that, we have to multiply it to V. So the dot product of U and V is therefore going to be, the dot product of U and V, I think we found that, and we found it to be 17. So the dot product of U and V, we have 3, 4 dot negative 1 comma 5, and then we're multiplying this by v, so v is negative 1 comma 5. So we're multiplying this by that. So the dot product will be 3 times 1, negative 3, plus 4 times 5, that is 20. Then you are multiplying this by negative 1 comma 5. So 20 and negative 3, when you add them, you are getting 17. 17, you are multiplying it to 17 is being multiplied to negative 1 comma 5. So this will give us negative 17 comma 5 times 17, that is going to give us 85. So this is the resulting vector for the first part, for part D. So this is how you deal with such questions. So let's quickly pick another question from this. So I'm going to pick the last question, which is that one. So the last question, we have u and v given. So the dot product of u and v is going to be, so we have 2i plus j minus 2k dot I minus 3j plus 2k. So the dot product of these two vectors will be, so 2i times I, that will just give us 2 because I times I is 1. So we say plus j times negative 3j, that will give us negative 3 because j times j is 1. Negative 2k times 2k, that is going to give us negative 4. So we're saying plus negative 4 because k times k is 1. So we have 2 minus 3 minus 4. So the answer is negative 5. So this is the solution for u dot v. Okay, let's find what u dot u is. So u dot u, we're just dotting u to itself. So u has been given as 2i plus j minus 2k. So we have 2i plus j minus 2k. We're dotting this to 2i plus j minus 2k, and this is going to be 2 times 2, that will be 4, plus j 1 times 1, that is 1, negative 2 times negative 2, that is 4. So when you add this, you're getting 9. So the dot product of two vectors always gives you a scalar. It always gives you a scalar, a constant. Okay, so this part there, u, the magnitude of u squared, the magnitude of u, where is u? U is given as 2i plus j minus 2k. So the magnitude of u is the square root of 2 squared plus 1 squared plus negative 2 squared. So the magnitude of u gives you this. Then once you square this, it means that we also have to square that. So this and that cancels, meaning the magnitude of u squared will give us, we'll just remain with what is inside though. So we have 4 plus 1 plus 4, that is equal to 9. Okay, so we move on to the last part. So u dot v, we found it to be negative 5. So we're just multiplying it to v. So where is v? V is there. So you just multiply u dot v to what? To v. And this is just the same as multiplying negative 5 to. So just multiplying negative 5 to v, which is I minus 3j plus 2k. So you have the resulting vector as negative 5j plus 15 negative 5i plus 15j minus 10k. This is what you have as the solution. So the same way I've done the first part and the last part, that's how you do the remaining questions. So feel free to do them on your own, on your spare time. In case you are doubting your solution, you can send the solutions to any of these lines on the screen, and I'll be able to tell you whether you are correct or wrong. Let's quickly look at another question on the dot product. So the dot product is given in different formats. So this is another way we can ask you about the dot product, more especially if it involves the angle. So they are saying find u dot v, given that the magnitude of u is 8 and the magnitude of v is 5. So if you have been given the magnitudes and the angle between u and v has been given there. So the magnitude of u has been given to be 8, and the magnitude of v has also been given to be 5, and the angle theta is pi over 3. Remember the formula, u dot v is what they're asking us to find, and this, according to the formula, it's given by the magnitude of u times the magnitude of v cos cos theta. So u dot v is therefore going to be equal to, the magnitude of u has been given to be 8, the magnitude of v has been given to be 5, and we have cos theta is simply just pi over 3. So pi over 3 is 180 divided by 3, that is 60 degrees. So we have our u dot v, so 5 times 8, this gives us 40, and cos pi over 3 is just the same as cos 60. So cos 60 is 1 over 2. So cos 60 is 1 over 2. So when you multiply 1 over 2 and 40, you are going to get 20. Yeah, so this is the value of our u dot v. Yeah, cos 60 is 1 over 2, and then cos 30 is the root of 3 over 2. Okay, so let's also do the second part. We've been given the magnitude of u has been given as 40, the magnitude of v has been given as 25, and the angle between is 5 pi over 6. So this one is simple as well. We know the formula is u dot v is equal to the magnitude of u times the magnitude of v cos theta. So the magnitude of u and the magnitude of v we have been given as 40 and 25. Then we have cos theta. So what is theta? Theta has also been given as 5 pi over 6. So 5 pi over 6 is simply in degrees, it should be somewhere it should be 150, because 6 into 180 gives you 30 times 5, that's 150. Alright, so you can find this 40 times 25, this will give you 1,000, and then cos so cos 5 pi over 6 is simply just negative root 3 over 2. So when you if you want, you can leave it as, so we're trying to find the u dot v, and this is going to be 500 negative 500 root 3. So this is our u dot v. So these questions are simple. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me on any of these lines on the screen, and I'll help you out. Let's quickly look at the last question on the dot product. So the last question on the dot product is asking us to calculate the angle. So I'm just going to pick a random question from this. So it's asking us to find the angle between the vectors that have been given. So I'll solve two questions, and I'm sure from the two you can get the procedure or the method of solving this. So we know that the dot product of u and v is given by, so u dot v is given by the magnitude of u times the magnitude of v cos theta. So we are trying to find theta, so meaning we're going to divide everything by the magnitudes. So we say cos theta is equal to u dot v, everything over the magnitude of u times the magnitude of v. So now what you do with this is that you find u dot v. So u dot v, I'll pick, let me pick this question here, question 5. So to find u dot v for question 5, we know that we have one, another one, another one. Finding the dot product of these two vectors, we have 2, 1, negative 1, and then everything over the magnitude of the same vectors that we have on as numerators there. So the magnitude of the first vector there is 1 squared plus 1 squared plus 1 squared, and we're multiplying this with, we have 2 squared plus 1 squared plus negative 1 squared. So we have cos theta as the first vector dot the second vector there. We know what we know how to find the dot product. So we say 1 times 2, we have 2, 1 times 1, we have 1, and we have 1 times negative 1, we have negative 1, and everything over 1 plus 1 plus 1, that is 2, so we have the square root of 2, and 2 plus 1 plus 1, that is, oh sorry, this will be 4 plus 1 plus 1, that is going to give us 4 plus 1, that is 5, plus 1, that is 6, so we have the square root of 6. So on top there we're going to have 2, 1 minus 1, that is a 0, so we have 2. Then everything down here we have the root of 2 times the root of 6, that is the root of 12, the root of 12. So the root of 12 can also be written as, so root 12 can also be written as the square root of 4 times 3, which can be written as, which can also be written as, this can also be written as 2 root 3, because the square root of 4 is 2, and then the root of 3 will remain like that. So you can write this as 2 root 3. That 2 and that 2 cancels, meaning we'll remain with 1 over the root of 3. So we have cos theta being equal to 1 over the root of 3. 1 over the root of 3. Meaning theta is therefore going to be equal to, cos inverse of 1 over the root of 3. So what this means is that alright, so this is the angle. If you want, you can leave it like this, but if this is a special angle, if it's possible for you to find this angle, you can proceed and find the angle. Alright, so this is how simple it is to find the angle between two given vectors. Let's also pick the last part here. So it's also simple. We know that u dot v is given by the magnitude of u times the magnitude of v cos theta. So meaning cos theta is equal to u dot v, everything over the magnitude of u times the magnitude of v. So our u dot v, we have 2i minus 3j plus k we're dotting this with v, which is I minus 2j plus k. And then everything divided by the magnitude of this will be the square root of 2 squared plus negative 3 squared plus 1. And then we're multiplying this to plus 2 squared plus 1 squared. So cos theta is therefore going to be equal to, so 2 times 1 will give us what? 2 plus negative 3 times negative 2, that will give us positive 6. Then we have 1 times 1, that will give us 1. So we have everything divided by, have 4 plus 9 plus 1, we have 14, the square root of 14, times we have 1 plus 4 plus 1, that will be the square root of 6. So simplifying this, it's going to give us 2 plus, that's 8, plus 1, we have 9, and then everything divided by, we have 14 times 6. Yeah, so we have 14 times 6, which gives us what? 84. So we have 84. So we have the square root of what? 84. Right. So after finding that, we can now see if this is a special angle. We can try to reduce it. So we know that 4 can go into 84 how many times? 21 times. So we can do this. 9 over, we have 2 root 21. Yeah, 2 root 21. That is, yeah, so I think we can't go further than this. Let's just find the angle. Yeah, so we can write the angle as, so we have cos theta is equal to 9 over 2 root 21, meaning the angle is going to be cos inverse of 9 over 2, sorry, the square root is down, so 9 over 2 root 21. If you want, you can rationalize this so that it's easier to view if it's either a special angle or not. Alright, so you can solve the remaining questions. I know someone is looking at question 4 as a very tough question. It's simple. Let me just show you how to find the what is the dot product and the cross product of that. I mean the dot product of that. So finding the dot product of this is simple. So we have, okay, so we have we just erase everything. So the dot product of these vectors, they are only, okay, it only has I and j. So the dot product, you have cos pi over 6 and cos, so when you dot those, or if you want, the simplest way you can solve these questions is to just find the values. So we have u there, u is equal to cos pi over 6, oh sorry, I, then plus sine pi over 6j. And then the value of v there is, I mean the vector v is cos 3 pi over 4 plus sine 3 pi over 4. So if this is what you have, and you want to solve the question, so you have u being equal to, so cos pi over 6, so pi over 6 is just the same as 30 degrees. Cos 30 is the root of 3 over 2i, then sine 30 is 0.5, which is just the same as 1 over 2j. So we move on to v. So v is cos 3 pi over 4 is just the same as, so 3 pi over 4 is just the same as 3 pi over 4 is 45 in degrees, 135 in degrees. Yeah, so you have cos 135. You can find that because 135 is in the second quadrant, and cos in the second quadrant is negative. So we say negative cos 45. So negative cos 45. So cos 45 is cos 45 is 1. So we can just say cos 45 is 1. So you can simply just say negative I. Then sine 135 is also just the same as, sorry, cos 45 is not 1. Sorry for that. So cos 45 is the root of 2 over 2. So we have the root of 2 over 2. And of course it's going to be negative because it's in the second quadrant. Then sine in the second quadrant is positive. So this is also root 2 over 2j. Then these are the two vectors that you're going to dot, and you're going to find their magnitudes. Then you find the angle at the end. Yeah, so this is a very simple question as well. Alright, so if you have any questions, feel free to contact me using any of those lines on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click on the notification button so that you don't miss out the videos that I'm going to be posting. Alright, see you in the next tutorial video. My name is Hamted. Shalom, shalom.